All right.
Hi.
Hey, welcome everybody. We're live from the Shop of Rock here in beautiful Cedar, British Columbia. We're doing the podcast called Heavy Mental Noise, and it's roughly the background behind that is roughly why do people enjoy music, especially when they've got issues going on in their lives, and what does music mean to them, and does it help them through any of their difficulties? So today, this is episode 3, and this is the first episode I've had with a live human being in the same room with me, so that's pretty good, and I'm really appreciative of that. So today's special guest, it's the world famous Carl Longstaff.
What's up?
Yeah, Carl is world renowned for his musical talent. He's a recording artist, a musician, a singer, and he's a poet, and he's a hell of a good guy besides that. Either that or you wouldn't be here.
Thanks,
so that's really lucky to have him here. And so we're going to welcome him to the Heavy Mental Noise podcast. So today we're looking at we're going to find out what's Carl all about. So Carl, you're based out of Nanaimo. Whereabouts were you born?
White Rock.
Is that anywhere near the mainland?
Yeah, it's like right by the border actually, and you can. My grandpa has a house overlooking the water, and you can see right across into the States there, and you can see the border crossing. You can watch the huge trains coming up from the States. It's super cool. I used to put pennies on the track when I was a kid.
Trespasser.
Well,
I'm a train guy, so anybody that's on the tracks is not supposed to be there.
well, you know, you're a kid.
I know. Kids are great. So you're from White Rock, and you came to the island, and now you've been here for
Forever.
Like
34 years. 33 to be exact.
33.
Because we basically moved here on my 6th birthday, because I remember I was in school, and then I moved to McGirr School here, and we lived at my grandparents' house, and it snowed that year. It snowed real good, and I remember that.
So I guess being that I'm not from the island, I came here thinking that I'd never see snow again leaving Saskatchewan, and I was wrong.
Well, it sometimes snows. It's not very often.
It doesn't last too long.
No.
And it's easy to, not easy to shovel. It's easy to live with the temperatures that come with it.
That's right.
Anything's better than 40 below plus the wind.
Very good.
Yeah, so anyways, what got you started into music?
I've always liked music. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always listened to music. I had 2 tapes. My first 2 tapes were Lana Miles, Black Velvet, and Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA. And I wore those tapes out. And I still have the record player. My dad had this Akaya record set. He had like a little cabinet, and it had all the records and the tapes. And I would go in the living room, and I would dance and go crazy.
Right on.
And my mom's a piano teacher, so there's always music in the house. And my dad's I would say that my musical abilities come from my mom, but my musical influences come from my dad.
So, your mother being a piano teacher, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so did you learn all that theory and notes and all the music?
No,
reading
that's
music?
Garbage. So, we always went to church when I was a kid, so we'd always sing in church. So I've always been a singer, basically. And then in order to be able to go around singing, you have to be able to have an instrument.
Right.
So carrying a piano around doesn't work very good. So my mom did this little kid music stuff called Kinder Music. And so she bought this awesome guitar, and I went to camp, and this girl, Megan Glemboski, taught me how to play guitar. She taught me how to play like Smoke on the Water and Come As You Are. And that was it for me. And I came home, and I would play that guitar, and it was amazing. It was this Takamine. Like, it was like a beautiful guitar. And then somebody stole it from my mom when she was at work, and she replaced it with an Ovation guitar, which I'm not sure if it's the one that I still have. Like, I have an old Ovation, and what ended up happening is it was in the accordion bus in Vancouver, because I used to work in Vancouver, and it got squished. So
Like going around a curve?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And everyone, I had my headphones on, and everyone on the bus was like, "Oh my gosh, your guitar!" And it was like, it was like a $400 guitar. Like, who cares, right? I smashed guitars a lot, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was a kid, my dad had, he still has the truck, a Chevy Blazer, a '70 Blazer, and I would ride around on the wheel wells, and we'd listen to AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, like all that stuff, like Billy Idol. He really liked girl musicians though, like Melissa Etheridge, Milana Miles. It was pinheads or
Oh, the headpins.
headpins.
Yeah, Darby.
He liked all those, like, Joan Jett, like
Darby Mills.
yeah, he loved all. He was really into female rockers and
Lee Aaron.
yeah, all that stuff. And so all basically, I spent a lot of time as a kid. Like I have the record collection that I had when I was a kid. I still have it, and the record player.
Nice.
And it's just everything. It's very, like, he had the Moody Blues, and he had just and I was into music. Like, I remember listening to the Tragically Hip album. Because he would buy the new albums. It was Guns N' Roses, all that in the early 90s, like late 80s. Mm-hmm. And he had all the records, and I would just sit there and play video games and listen to I remember listening to like Road Apples and stuff, and all my friends, they were listening to this other stuff. I was into the real music.
Nice. And good old Canadian rock and roll. It's been great.
And I remember I'll never forget the day that I knew that I was going to be a singer, and it was something to do with Axl Rose, I remember. And it's kind of weird because I think it was just the music was just changing from like that kind of music to like grunge music.
Right.
Because it was a very distinct moment. I'll never forget the first time I heard Nirvana. I was in grade 3. And it was a song called Love Buzz on a skate tape. And I was at my buddy's basement, and I kept rewinding the video to listen to this song, and I didn't know who it was or anything, but I loved it. And Nirvana's been one of my favorite bands. So.
Well, that's nice. That reference to Guns N' Roses brings back some memories. I had one of the first satellite dishes in Saskatchewan. It was one of those big 10, 12-foot diameter big things, and that's the only thing you could get American TV on. So I used to put on MTV back when it first started. I kind of watched the launch of MTV in about 1981, I believe. And so when people at the bars and the party scene would find out that I had MTV, well, I had the hot place in town, so you got all the upcomers for music, and you get to blast it over the stereo, plus actually have a video to watch. And Guns N' Roses, when they came on the scene, I think in '89, I was playing the crap out of that, and my oldest son, Eric, he must have been, he'd be 3 years old or so at the time, and he started listening to that at 3, and now it's his favorite band, even still.
Yeah.
And he loves to sing too, so you put on some Guns N' Roses, and he's going to shriek it out like Axl would. And
yeah, well, it was a tough thing, because like with Guns N' Roses, like Appetite for Destruction was like, everyone liked those songs, but then you started seeing how they were like treating like not just women but everyone in general, like in the public settings, like how Axl Rose would act, and it kind of like it turned me off of that kind of like it's abrasive, like you're kind of like, it's not punk rock, it's like you think you're kind of like fast cars and women and all that stuff. It was just kind of like, it got kind of old. And Axl Rose, I think, really ruined Guns N' Roses with his behavior, like not doing shows and being all junked out and shit. Like,
that kind of stuff was really bad for the fans, and I think sometimes people forget who's paying the bills.
Well, I mean, and at a time when like, we had enough shit going on, like in the early 90s, like people forget sometimes. I think that was like the Iraq war had started, right? Mm-hmm. That's when they first went over there, like the fires of Kuwait. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, and things were different. Like back in the day, there was, there wasn't that understanding, So I get it, right? And I'm sure they've all made amends for the things they did, right? So.
Well, and then it looks like they've tried to get back together, and I think they had a couple pretty successful concert tours just before COVID came out, and all goes, everything seems to want to go back to the glory days and all that, but they had to go somewhere, because obviously didn't seem to go anywhere with any fresh new stuff.
Well, that whole Chinese democracy debacle.
Yeah.
Well, because like Scott Weiland and like when they did the Velvet Revolver, that was one of my favorite bands.
Yep.
And I went and seen them with Alice in Chains in Vancouver, and it was phenomenal. And you know, I never really like had it out for Axl. I just kind of think that he kind of went to space, really. Like,
Yeah. Never left the ground. So when you started playing, you had aspirations of being a singer and all that. What when did you start playing, like in an organized band, or start jamming with your buddies and stuff like that?
that would have been right away. I had a buddy, Steve Adamson, Steve Selwood, Steve Cass, Sean McPherson, Eric Hedekar, and John Bradburn and Arlen Pelchier were and Martin Kallick, and all those people were the first. Oh, and Dan Frey was the drummer, and we would do shows at the Lanceville Hall that I would put on, and I would get all my other friends' bands. My Arlen was in another band called Spy in Japan, and we had my buddy Derek, who was in Sideshow, and then we had Shifted, and we had the other guys from like Curb Stomp Christ. That was my buddy Dave Sponigal's band. And so we, as kids, it was this really weird thing because there was like the guy that records me now, Paul Similini, Dave Sponigal, all like I could sit here for 20 minutes talking about all these people, and we all had bands, we all played together, and we just made all different kinds of music. So right off the hop, I'd probably been playing guitar for 1 year, and I was in a band.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I still
That's cool.
play those, like I still have those songs and everything that I wrote, and yeah.
So you started writing? Did you start writing like poetry and turn it into songs, or?
No, I can do that, but I usually the song, it's more like I don't write the songs. It's like a channeling. You like, it's almost like you tune into something and then it's like delivered. And what I'll do is I'll sit there and I'll like sing and play the guitar, and then I have to like go back and like write all the lyrics down, arrange them, and then do the guitars and figure out how to do it all. Like sometimes the first time I play the song will be like, I'll be like, fuck, how do I do that again?
Exactly.
Like it just comes out, and you're just like, it's not me. There's no way. There's not even a chance, because I don't think anything. I just blah blah blah, and there it is, right? So, you know, sometimes I'll sit down and like 7 songs will come out.
Right on.
That's not me. Just no way. Just not. It's like, because if you sit down with a piece of paper and go, okay, I'm gonna make this.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like you have to catch it in the moment, and.
Well, I find that what'll end up happening is I'll be practicing, and then a couple chords will come, and then all of a sudden you're singing this lyric, and you're like, okay, and then it's just kind of like happens. And like every time I'm practicing, I always have a microphone on,
right,
and it's being recorded, and then I can go back and capture the.
Right. I was wondering how, like, I know a lot of people, like myself included. I've had dreams where I've written a song in my dream. I've got X amount of choruses and verses or whatever, and I wake up and I'm looking for a pen and paper, and it starts to fade a little bit too quickly. But I remember when I first started looking for the pen and paper, this was actually pretty decent sounding, and then all of a sudden it just starts to fade, and it's like and then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
You got to catch it. You got to catch it, and that just comes with, you know, I have boxes and boxes of tapes from when I was a kid, and I would just sit in my bedroom and just like I remember I got this tape player and I put it in my work truck, and I remember I found this one tape and I was like, it's completely different than everything. And you're like, what is this? Like, it's amazing. And it's just like, it's like one tape, and it's like, there's like 7 songs, and they're nothing like anything I've ever played before. And I'm like, where does that come from? I labeled it. I was like, that's crazy.
Nice.
I have books. I have like a stack of books like that tall, filled with poetry and songs and all that kind of stuff.
So how does music how does it make you feel? Like does it inspire you to create or look to the future, give you a little bit of excitement? I'm just thinking like for myself how it feels, but I'm just wondering, does that happen with everybody that gets right into music? There's a lot of positivity around, you know, creating something that you really are proud of and happy. Does that happen quite often?
Well, I noticed that it all depends on what's going on in my life, how I relate to music, and in my younger years, it was just a way to deal with all my anger and being frustrated as a young person in the world, and it gave me a place to find other people that related to me. Like, it was interesting because I remember the first time somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey man, your music helped me." And I was like, "Oh, I never thought of that." I was just like so like I was like a raw nerve. And I was just I'm not going to hurt other people. I'm not going to I'm going to end this cycle of whatever bullshit I'd been through. It was stopping with me, and I was going to smash guitars. I was going to play until my fingers, I remember I used to smash the guitar and try and cut myself open and stuff, and just I was just go psycho. I'd jump around. I remember we were doing this show and I was hanging off the light bar, and the guy had to grab me and stuff, and I would just go nuts. And I was heavily medicated as a child, and I took a lot of fucking pills, a lot. And I don't even know. I remember sometimes I drank a lot of cough syrup, and you drink this cough syrup, and I remember this one time I fell asleep, and when I woke up, it felt like the world was over there, and it was everything was in a tunnel. And I remember going to band practice, and I remember doing their whole set and doing everything, and at the end I'm like, did anybody notice that I was completely fucked up? And they're like, no.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Right? And so
Yeah,
me and music
that's scary.
had this thing where for a long time I was really, really upset, and I wrote a lot of dark songs about a lot of things that I went through, and then it just all fell apart, and I got really depressed and really upset.
So did you end up backing away from music for a while, or?
Well, I had to do life.
Mm-hmm.
So I had kids, I had bills, work, and when you work, 10 to 12 hours a day, and then you get home and you got to do all that stuff. I just watched my guitar sit in the corner, and every time I would pick it up and start singing, everyone would be like, "Shut the fuck up, you're so loud." And it broke my heart. And those people, I don't think they know what they did, but it took me almost 2 years to get to a point where I'm like, I don't care. You can do whatever you want to do with your life, but this is what I do, and no one's taking it away from me again. It was hard to have, be in a relationship with somebody and be like, that I make music, right? And I've got 20 songs recorded. Have you ever even listened to any of that? No, I don't give a shit about your music. If you don't give a shit about my music, you don't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
That's just bottom line. And it's fucked up, and I'm not
No, you're speaking from the heart, and
yeah, but I guess on the flip side, I don't hold anyone. I'm really good at I'm able to see why people act the way that they do. My music consumes me, right? So when I'm doing music, I'm not paying attention to the kids. I'm not paying attention to anything. It's music. I'm in the basement and I'm doing my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 10 hours of me doing whatever could just fly by for me. And and everyone's like, well, what are you doing? Like, you can't just sit there and yell and scream in the basement for that long. But
Yeah, you can.
you can. And that comes back to your question. I mean, without music, I guess there was never anything else for me besides music.
Okay.
It was just a matter of understanding who I am and not being able to slowly, I'm still working on it, to understand who I am and just be myself creatively instead of trying to be this singer or that musician or play that song and recreate that. Instead, just be like, no, like make your own thing and find out what you enjoy listening to and then put that down on the tape.
So after learning that some of this stuff wasn't working, when you said you put your guitar down, after you picked it back up, did you have to relearn the work, home life, and music? Were you able to separate those out so that they didn't clash too much? And
It's a never-ending battle.
mm-hmm.
It's a lot different. Like I really like my new job because it gives me, because I drive for a living, I'm able to work on a song. If I have like a melody idea, I have a headset and I can just click it and I can just say words or sing a melody or whatever I want and my phone records it. So it's like I can do my job, whereas before I did like manual labor, so I'd be like shoveling. So if I was like got a song idea, it's gone, right?
Yeah.
And doing manual labor, at the end of the day, your body's physically tired.
Yeah.
Whereas doing truck driving, some days I am tired, but a lot of the time.
Did you ever get on the CB and sing out a few tunes to your buddies?
don't-
Breaker 19?
We don't have a CB, but I sing for the guys at work, and I'm always singing. And the thing is that to find balance with music, I don't tell other people to find balance with their, that's what bothers me is I always find other people, if they're not interested in what you're doing and they expect you to do something else, but it's the same thing. What you're doing is your thing, and you only get one chance at it, right?
Yeah. I mean, life is short, and like you said, you got one chance, and it's nice when you can find people like-minded that have got the same interests and can also enjoy something that you're doing rather than just being about them or it's all about me. It's nice to be able to have somebody that can experience it with you and share it and collaborate ideas and have an intelligent conversation about it. I'm finding the more I get myself into this music thing, it draws in like-minded people like yourself and a few others that I'm just starting to meet now, and it's really nice to be able to sit down and talk to them and not be intimidated by, oh, this guy's a music star, he's a singer on the stage, I can't even talk to him, I need to get his autograph or whatever. It's nice to be able to talk to him as a human being and just say, hey, I understand what you're doing, and I kind of get what that song meant. It touched a nerve in my heart, and I can imagine, as you get older, you feel it more often, and things in life start to really relate to the music you're putting out. That's what it seems like to me, anyways. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it really does. It's true. I find that, like, the type of music that I'm interested in, it's not just a random thought and a random melody. The actual like whole process of discovering yourself through music, and instead of if I'm angry at somebody for, say, I got cheated on quite a bit when I was younger, and so instead of maybe like yelling at that person or abusing that person for what they did to me, not that I said I didn't, because obviously there's always that underlying tension, especially when you try and work it out with somebody after they've cheated on you. But when you take and you put that emotion and you put it out in front of yourself, and you put this bookends of music and noise around it, and then you look at it over time and you see how other people interpret that song, and then you see the other hidden meanings that you didn't even see in it before. I had this my friend Danara call me the other day, and she's stuck in California, and she's going through a pretty rough time, and she's like, "Oh, that song, it's about this." And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess so." Right? But you'd see it all of a sudden from this other point of view, and I think that's the power of music, and I think that's where you can really understand how a set of words and an emotion can translate into so many different areas and so many different things that you don't consider at the time. And even if you listen to music that you listened to 10 years ago and you just pick up that album and listen to it again, you're like, oh, there's all this thing. And that's the type of music that really speaks to me. It's got deep lyrics, a good rhythm and a but mostly lyrics, like lyrics and how the singer is portraying those things. He doesn't have to be a perfect singer or anything. He has to have, or she, it has to have that. I'm singing about something that is part of my soul, right? My existence, and that is the basic principle that I try and make all music on.
That's cool. What about using music? Like, for instance, you're in a shitty mood and you don't really feel like singing or listening to your own stuff. What do you turn to, and why? Like, why would you turn to a certain type of music? Or
Well, it's really interesting. I think I have one of the strangest relationships with music that I know of anybody, actually. I don't particularly listen to much music. I'm always creating music, and I'm listening to something that I'm working on. So I'll have like 7 or 8 pieces that I'm working on, and I'll focus on one song and I'll listen to it, and I'll be like, what part needs to get changed? How can this get like narrowed down and shaved better? And then I'll listen to, today I was listening to a lot of White Stripes, and I was trying to figure out why I liked that style of music. And then I was listening on the way here. I was listening to Lateralis by Tool, because I've realized that like that music is what I'm like. I really resonate a lot with the bass and the drums in Tool, and how it's like got this like a life of its own. And then like the White Stripes, his guitar playing is like purposely messy.
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
he's making sounds that sound terrible, and yet there's so much energy there because he's just letting go.
Yeah, there's not a lot of different instruments in White Stripes. Isn't there just the drum and his guitar? There was at one time.
Yeah, and the White Stripes. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
There's he's done many different things. Like he's quite the talent. But as far as the style that I want to harness myself and teach myself to produce is mixing those lyrics and those melodies with this like almost like falling apart with craziness. You know what I mean? I mean, the world that we're experiencing right now, the last 2 years of my life, I feel like I've become a completely different person. I have so much understanding for other people and their pain and their how scared they are. And
Well, we've had a lot of time to use our brains for other than stimulation on the outside world. I know myself. been basically shut up or shut down for several years now, and even before COVID. And if you're by yourself, you got a lot of time for reflection and seeing things through different eyes. And yeah, one thing it has done is giving people a lot of time to reflect and take stock rather than just mindlessly going about their thing. I think we've got a wake up call, and there's definitely finite time to our lives, and you better make the best of it and work with what you got, because this may be the best it ever gets. We don't know that. So
well, I think it's the assumption that we are going to experience the same things for the next 50 years, and I don't think that a lot of us believe that anymore. I think that's kind of the old thinking, like this window of like prosperity and constant growth, and everyone having enough food and everyone having all these things. And when we see things like these floods and people not being able to get access to food, it makes you wonder why we in this part of the world are entitled to have all these things when there's billions of people on this planet that don't have their basic needs met. And those questions that you start asking yourself when you go down that road, which I know most of us have been because of this, you start going, well, why are we doing all this stuff? You're getting up to go to work so that you can have a truck that's fancy that sits in the parking lot at work every day. Well, you just spent $100,000 on that, and it's not doing anything for you. But we're all caught up in this, like, I'm going to be Hollywood, I'm going to be this. And at the end of the day, like that, it can all be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize how fragile we are, and then what makes us as people living in this beautiful place more important than people living on other places on the planet and on our streets? Like the amount of people that are living in cars and in campers.
Yeah.
Like every morning when I get up and I go to work, I see like 3 or 4 people sleeping in their vehicle. Like why? Why? And that could easily be me.
Yeah.
And then
could be anybody for sure.
So what are we doing as a culture? We're breeding, this like have my own kingdom. I got my own big house, and it's all.
So do you find like with that thought process, does it trigger songwriting?
Yeah, that's what a lot of what I'm writing about. But like I said, I'm not. All this information and everything, I feel like I had like a tinfoil hat on, and I took it off, and now I'm picking up the radio signal. Like 2 years ago, I'm on Facebook, scrolling away, and my good friend, I talked about Martin Calic earlier, Dennis Calic is his younger brother, and I used to make fun of him when we'd jam in the basement. It was from a loving place, but looking back on it, it was not good. And I remember he said, he was basically saying on this Facebook post that he doesn't want to live anymore. And I messaged him, and I was like, dude, like, I just want to say I'm sorry for how I acted when we were kids. I was a young kid. I thought it was funny. Looking back on it, you probably wasn't that funny to you. And he was like, you know what, man, that didn't matter, but I appreciate your apology. And we started talking, and we talked for hundreds of hours. I was driving, and he was working at a camp job, and we talked about so many different things, and it changed my whole perception on the world that we're living in and what we as human beings experience is the same shadow that we cast in the world, and what we focus on is what we manifest into our lives. And when you get put into a situation in your life, say from childhood trauma, from a bad work environment, a bad marriage, all these things, when you're constantly under threat, you start manifesting more of those negative things that you don't want. And me and him talked a lot about that because of our similar childhoods with dealing with the past generation's trauma that was imparted on our parents, and how they were unknowingly, with just, out of sheer desperation of trying to survive, were just like barfing all over us, and how we were going to make sure that we changed these situations and that we made our lives better, and then the people that we touched better. But then how hard that was, as these old habits and functions that we were unaware of, which we call programming, was stuck in our minds and in our forefront, and we were creating these problems for ourselves. Because if you focus all day on the end of the world, you want to experience the end of the world, you better check yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You want to experience making music and having a good time and spreading love to others? Well, focus on that. You want to focus on that guy at work pisses you off? Well, why is that guy pissing you off? Why are you getting in a fight with him? What are you doing that's creating that? And realizing that other people aren't other people. They're reflections of our own bullshit.
Yeah.
And once you can take and say, hey, I'm not this guy. We're all this guy. And what you're saying to me, I need to maybe be listening instead of just talking, right?
Everybody's got a story, and you can't judge where anybody's coming from unless you know their story. And even then, you still can't judge because you don't know really what they know. And the same thing about you. Like, people don't know you the way they think or portray you.
The biggest thing, like, I thought about this lots today when I was thinking about coming here. And I knew that we would get to here with this. A lot of our culture and our society has allowed individuals an exemption from focusing on healing themselves from their trauma because they're just traumatized, and that's their get out of jail free card.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I do know people. I have talked to people, and I go, holy smokes, their childhood was incredible. That no wonder they're such a star of life, right? But that just because somebody has been abused and treated shitty doesn't give them the right to treat others shitty.
That's right. And
it doesn't give them an excuse to get out of it, because that is their trip. And they need to embrace the darkness. You can't be living your life scared of the boogeyman just because when you were a kid you got locked in your cupboard because you didn't do the dishes, or your dad beat you with a fucking belt. Yeah, well, it happened. It's like me handing you a bag of shit and saying, this is your childhood. Carry that bag of shit with you. You're gonna fucking throw that thing out faster than, because it stinks.
Yeah.
But people, you see them, they're carrying around this childhood bullshit, and they just can't let it go because it's their get out of jail free card. And
yeah, that's not right. People have to own their own actions.
But but this,
you can understand it, but that doesn't mean that you got a right to act on it.
Well, this is the problem, though. You have to understand that we're all at different areas in our development as humans, and that we all have a right to feel however we want to feel, right? So it becomes this game of understanding and being able to look past and see the bigger picture. And as soon as you start looking further out and start realizing what is causing all of this, why we have people passed out on all of our city streets, high on fentanyl. Well, that's because the government is allowing it on our streets. The same reason they allowed drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, all sugar, any of these things. It all comes down to the almighty dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And that almighty dollar is translating into families being torn apart. The whole system that we think is here to help us, the medical system, the internet, all of it. It's all here as a way to figure out how they're going to get you hooked on something that takes you away from seeing what the fuck this actual existence is. And this existence is more than money. It's more than cars. It's more than fame, power. We are all amazing, beautiful creatures that are all connected, and we have this amazing opportunity that we can love one another and we can learn to live together in harmony no matter what's happened. And if we can all see that what's happened has happened and the only way forward is to let it go. If you don't have the word murder in your vocabulary, you don't have murderers. You know, and I watch these shows on TV and it's talking about this guy and how he murdered his family, and it's like cold case files, and it's like dun dun and like all these noise. Like, why is that on our television? Why is that a television show about people murdering their family? That's fucked up. Like, why is it we have children that have access to unlimited amounts of pornography? What does that do to a little child that finds it? You know? Now you have all these kids that they can't get off unless they're doing some crazy maneuver to this chick that they saw on a fucking Pornhub. Right? You know, and you got little girls who think that, you know, doing what these girls do on Pornhub is normal. And that's the society that we want our children growing up in?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, who came up with this? Did you come up with this? I didn't.
I come up with take a chainsaw to that tree and mow it down. That's about all I got.
Right, but
when I was a kid.
But this is our culture.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
And this isn't worldwide. This is just in North America. And technology is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and we could use technology to solve so many problems. But if we don't solve the main problem of understanding that we're all trapped in a circus of anything that you want to be distracted by, whatever floats your boat, you can have. And if you just keep looking at these distractions and you don't see the world as a whole, as a living, breathing organism that we depend on for the air and the water, because you're too busy going, I'm going to play Call of Duty. Call of Duty is like, it's a first-person shooter. And then you have kids playing Fortnite, and there's like hundreds of kids all day like shooting each other. What does that do to their brains? You know, and
yeah. I don't know much about video games, but boy.
But when are we gonna say as a human population, listen, that's it. That's enough. Let's go towards something else besides distracting ourselves from how miserable we are. Why is it Friday night? Let's get fucked right up. Let's fucking. I had a shitty week. I gotta drown myself.
Because you deserve it.
No, but that's because it's on TV.
That's what we used to say. Why are you getting so drunk on Friday night? I deserve it. I had a bad week. I deserve this. And he's like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, but you had a bad week because we're not following our purpose as human beings. If we all worked together and built something that helped each other out, and we got rid of these, it's basically like farming humans. You get a human being, you get them addicted to something, and you make money off of it, and a bunch of people profit, and a bunch of people get fucked up. And then we go, why are we all fucked up? Well, we're fucked up because we're all addicted to different things. I'm addicted to caffeine. I'm addicted to fucking porn. I'm addicted to whatever. I'm addicted to music, right?
Yeah.
I'm addicted to all these things that I'm not like able to see.
I'm addicted to food.
Right.
I'm addicted to food. It's not a professional diagnosis, but I got this gut feeling.
Yeah. Well.
Dad joke. Come on.
It's a good joke.
Come on. Come on.
But okay, so the problem is When you go to the grocery store, is there stuff in that grocery store that's good for your body?
I don't know.
No, none of it's fucking good for us
I
because
don't
it's all GMO. It's all fucking full of sugar.
I don't know. I kind of like candy and.
I love candy. I
But,
got candy with me all the time, but that doesn't change the fact
No, I know.
that our bodies are designed to not eat all this processed bullshit.
Yeah, and boy, like
And trying to get away from it?
Coming from me, I'll tell you what it's like to live a life of a year at a time without processed shit and with processed shit, and it's amazing.
It's fucked up, man.
It's amazing.
It, you know what? It makes me fucking go bonkers.
Where are you going?
I'm just gonna use the bathroom.
Okay, use the bathroom. That's live trueness, folks. Going to the bathroom on camera. Did you realize there's a camera in the pee hole?
Perfect.
Good plate.
See the Longstaff in me.
Yeah, well. All I've got is my imagination. I don't really need to see it. I'm good. I'm good without it. Isn't that handy though, having it right there?
Oh yeah.
I've actually gone into there, had a leak while I was still talking to somebody. It's like, nice.
Well, it's always nice to be. I drink so much water during the day.
Well, that's good. At least you're flushing it out.
And I was getting pretty emotional there. I need to take a little minute there to think about what I was saying.
That's okay. I was gonna not change the subject, but I was gonna ask you a question. And it was about this performing on stage stuff that seems to be a fear of a lot of people, including myself. But I watched you perform on stage several times, and it really tugs at the heartstrings when I watch you perform. A lot of times, of course, I don't understand every single lyric or where it's coming from, but all you have to do is see your face, your energy, your how you perform the song, to know that that's super important and it means something. And even if you don't get your meaning, whatever it means to me, it's an awesome thing. And I remember videotaping that one little ditty there at your
Always.
your CD thing, and I think was that the first song?
It was.
Because nobody else was taping it. I just happened to.
No. It was. I would have done that like third or fourth, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a love song. My wife. I've known my wife for 20 years. My first show at a bar was at the Canby, and she was the manager there. And
She didn't pay you, so you had to marry her?
no, she paid me really well.
Oh,
I remember it was back in the day. $400 she gave me,
nice.
and I remember thinking she was really like older. It was funny.
Hang on a second. You know you're not getting paid here, right? Like, I'm broke. I'm broke. This is... Nyet.
So,
Sorry about that.
no.
I sometimes interrupt when I shouldn't.
So, we were in very different places. She just likes to work, and she went down to Valencia, California, and she was working there for a few years, and I didn't see her for a long time. And basically, my good friend Ryan Hennessy and Terry Martin, Ryan's dad passed away, and he basically stayed at my wife's work. Like, she lived in the basement of her work, and he stayed with her, and so we would hang out because we were really good friends. And so we kind of, and he actually said that me and her should get together at that time.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't, and what ended up happening is I had a kid with my ex-wife Odin, my youngest, and the day that Odin was born, which was June 19th, she did a summer solstice party, which she invited me to come play my guitar at. So this is when I wasn't playing music. I was still doing music, but it wasn't like I'm all in now. This is when I would just go do a show here and there or whatever, right? And so I went and did the show. And a few years later, I went and worked in Alberta, and she happened to we kind of reconnected a little bit, and after that we ended up living together because of certain circumstances. And ever since then, my life has gotten better and better and better. I've learned so much about myself. I hadn't had any stable kind of relationship, and that's what that song's about. That woman saved my life. I mean, I know that I helped her in her life as well, but
Well, it's nice that you're giving her credit.
well, I have the only reason I'm able to make music again, and I'm able to do any like work on myself. Like she paid for me to get counseling. I had to get like 4 or 5 years of like heavy duty counseling. Like I was going, like sometimes I would go for like 8 weeks in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had so much like when you're shamed as a child, you just hate yourself. And so I was super suicidal for like 35 years of my life. Like I didn't like wander around like slitting my wrist, but I was just like drinking myself to oblivion and like hurting myself and not allowing myself to have anything good because I didn't like myself.
You're putting yourself out there in positions of peril.
Yes. And I was hurting myself, and I was hurting the people that I loved, and she gave me the key to that cell. And there's many people that I know, and she is like above all of them by a lot. And no matter whatever happens in our life, whatever, people grow apart, whatever, it doesn't matter to me. That not wanting to kill myself for like almost 5 years now has been the biggest relief. I've never felt this good in my life.
Great.
So that's where
awesome.
that song comes from, and that's why I get so emotional about it, is because
Well, I'm glad I captured it for you and sent it to you.
I didn't even know I was going to start bawling my head off when I started
Yeah.
doing that. Like it was I don't know.
Yeah, it was intense, and
It was.
like I said, I didn't, of course, get the background on the song, but yeah, I thought, I captured this, and you need to see this. I think you need to see it, and I think you asked for it. I can't remember now.
Oh yeah, no, you posted it, and I was like, can you please send that to me?
Right, yes.
And I didn't realize, like, I've done probably about 14 or 15 shows since I've been back, and I've always have this hard time of getting to the place where I am in my jam room, where I'm comfortable up on stage, and I had to push through a lot of insecurities, not drinking and not taking drugs before going on stage, and being completely sober and having to face a lot of that, because when I first started making music and performing, I was high as a kite all the time, and then later on in life, drinking quite a bit. So being sober and having to kind of like overcome these fears that I'd never had to deal with before because of being intoxicated. So once I got through that, it was weird, because then I went back after a few months and I was nervous again, because you got to do a lot of rehearsals to be able to perform those songs. You have to have your vocal strength up, and so many things. That's why, like, when I watch people like Under the Mountain, and there's a lot of bands in town that I admire quite a bit, like Allie Bean, what's her name, the fountain bather chick. She's got a beautiful voice. Is it Kaylee? I think it's Kaylee. And I performed with her at the Terminal Bar. Then I went on before her.
She's not the one from Tofino, is it?
No, I don't think.
Okay, never
No,
mind.
she's got like blue hair right now, and she's got a band called Fountain Bather, and she was in the Femme Fatales, and I remember the first time I saw her perform, and I was like, wow, like but seeing her sit up on the stool and sing effortlessly, and you're just like, and she's like, oops, I made a little mistake. And you're like, oh yeah, that's fuck all. Like, you're incredible.
You better get off right now. See ya.
And then I'm performing before her, and you're like, holy fuck, like, I'm out of my league, right?
Yeah.
But that's not what it's about, and that's not what it's about for her. She doesn't think that, right? But those are the things that go on in your head when you're up on stage. You're thinking like, what's everyone thinking of me? But really, no one's even fucking paying attention to you.
A lot of people aren't. No, it's just there to they sit in the have a conversation with their buddies, and that's the background noise.
And that's why I always just imagine myself naked on stage, and that helps me get over it.
Hence the name Longstaff.
That's right.
Yeah, I get it now. So. I get it. Yeah, it always goes back to that.
It really does.
So like I said, I've watched it several times, and
you've been to like all my shows.
Well, I don't think I've been to all of them. I'm not a groupie. Well, maybe I am. I still have your shirt. I was going to wear your shirt tonight and be damned if I could find it. It's in laundry hell right now. I don't know where it is. I was going to wear it anyways. Carl's got some nice shirts that he put out, and he was kind enough to give me one, and I wear it proudly whenever I can. A lot of times it's...
Well, I should have worn my Shop of Rock shirt, too.
Well, we could have each worn each other's shirts, and...
But I'm a little bit in more of this kind of mood lately. I was going to wear my anonymous mask, but I thought...
Well, you can do whatever you want. You can put on one of my wigs if you like. I got a Willie
Nelson.
Well,
I don't really need it. I got flow, bro.
It's nothing like my Willie Nelson braids.
Like, this is some power salad right there. You see that?
Yeah.
This is the longest my hair has ever been in my life.
So. Well, it's still sewn in on the top there anyways.
Yeah, it's coming in good. I think that
right?
I was thinking, I was like, if I dye the green, I'll have like this like cool like green.
I got a couple cans. What would you like? Which color would you like? We
got to just get the individual gray hair, so it's like, instead of it being gray, it's like brown with green in it.
Well, we got all the colors.
And I want it emerald green.
I think I have emerald green. I've sprayed my hair a few times out here, and my favorite is actually the black. Makes me look younger.
It's pretty crazy.
This is crazy out here. Believe me.
I like it when you get all dressed up.
I'm a one-man.
That's my favorite right there. That's the Hugh Dillon right there.
Oh yeah,
rock. I'm all about the punk rock.
Yeah, I enjoyed. That's actually my favorite too. I think the next time I go to one of your shows, I'm gonna dress like that.
You really should.
It doesn't have to be Halloween, because believe it or not, I'm not a Halloween guy. I'm not a guy that looks forward to Halloween because I dress up every Friday night or whatever. I don't care about Halloween. I wish I'd just go to the bar looking like that.
That'd be so dope.
And I think I will, because I've said it enough to people. They're going to say, well, when are you going to do that? And, I'm just going to do it, because nobody knows me in this town anyways. So it's not like people are going to say, I know you. Who are you? I know you, because I've done that before on Halloween in places where I've never been before. They all think they know you. And then you can go, well, fuck, you don't know me because I'm not even from your town. So
that's right.
Get lost.
That's right.
But it's fun. And you know what? When I dress up like that, here we are talking about me. Sorry about that.
It's your show.
When I dress up like that, I talk about myself all the time. Well, you know what's
interesting? I was touched. I
was touched.
Yeah.
By an angel or
something like that.
A Longstaff.
I was touched. Yeah.
Okay, so now we know where this is all coming from again.
No, but I watched your episode, and I had a moment there, and I was quite intrigued to find out what you thought about music and how it made you feel, and how you were using it as a coping mechanism, and I don't know if you knew, you were saying that there's like a medical explanation.
Oh yeah, for changes that music does. Well,
Yeah. So to expand on that, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually,
Right on.
Music is a vibration, and it's a feeling. And when you emote feelings, emotions are what create. Like, do you know who Joe Dispenza is?
No.
Okay, so Joe Dispenza is like a guru of things manifest. And when you manifest, it basically means you're creating your own future. And that is where trauma, growing up in an abusive household, you just get a mirror image copy of a man. You see a man beat his wife and beat his kids, and then the kid grows up, I'm never going to be like my dad. And then as soon as his wife doesn't listen, doesn't do the dishes, he smashes her and says, you got to do what you're told. Because that's what he was taught.
Right.
He's not doing it out of his heart. He's doing it out of programming, right? And we all become programmed every single day by everything that we experience. And unless we keep that in check, if we just habitually, a human is designed to get up and do the same things every day. And I got a new song coming out called Honesty, and it talks about this a little bit. This is kind of a good little thing. So you get up in the morning and you do all these things, and you smoke cigarettes, you drink beer, or whatever you do, right? You drink coffee and have a cigarette, okay? If you don't do that the next day, what happens? You get grumpy and pissed off because you didn't have your coffee and your cigarette. And why is that? Because your body is habituated to those things. So when you don't do them, it says, warning, warning, warning. And if you don't understand that that's all it is it's just like your body telling you, hey, dude, you're not doing the thing that keeps you alive. Even though we all know smoking and drinking coffee doesn't keep you alive, but your body is on autopilot. Yeah. It's programmed. You've programmed it. So if you're not careful, so Joe Dispenza talks about these things. When you have a negative down emotion, you create negativity and you bring that into yourself.
You also project it.
Right. What our bodies are is your heart is a magnet, and your mind and your thoughts are electromagnetic. So when you send out good positivity into the world, and you have a good open heart, and you have a positive, happy feeling inside of it, that's what you draw back into yourself. And as you do those things, you manifest your existence, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why you can get people who think a certain thing about the world, and you're like, what? And you're just like, oh my gosh. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that they're on a completely different trip than you, right? And that's kind of where we get into problems. And that's what music does, is it creates a mantra of either negativity or positivity. So if you listen to a song, whether or not the composer was in a negative or a positive, if you look at it as a positive thing, right? Mm-hmm. You know, killing in the name of, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, right? You know, it all depends on how you're going to look at, rally around your family, pocket full of shells, right? He's trying to bring an enlightenment to this world that we live in. There's people that there's other guys running around, rallying around their family, saying they're gonna fucking kill them, and we're sitting here crying about the fact that our fucking Starbucks is closed, right? Yeah. He's trying to say that. So if you're vibing on that and you want to go down that rabbit hole, you vibe on Rage Against the Machine, right? You want to learn about like finding yourself, you go vibe out on Tool, and go down that rabbit hole of like, he's talking about like being patient and letting things happen the way that they want to, or just free yourself from yourself as a Maynard James Keenan lyric, right? And those, if you want to trip on that, you can trip on that. If you want to be like, I love rock and roll, Joan Jett, right? Put another dime in the jukebox, baby, right? That's where what you want to have in your life. That's, and I remember being a kid and my mom would say, why are you listening to Kurt Cobain? He's so depressed and he's suicidal, and I was like, I don't see that in his music at all. Right. It's actually a positive, carefree environment that he provides of, we've all been through shit, and you can, you can do whatever you want,
Well, you're talking about this about the music part of the physiological thing. And I remember talking to somebody a lot smarter than me, who I speak to quite often, about the medical part of the body. And the vibration thing is exactly right. There's what's that nerve called? The vagus nerve?
Yeah.
It goes from one end to the other. It's all about vibrations. And music triggers that. And it can change the way your body functions. It can change how it reacts to different sounds. And this isn't just somebody's theory. I mean, it's a physical part of everybody's body that is common. So whether people are in touch with that or not, it really doesn't matter. But the vibration part of it, all the things that music does to your body, there's a reason for it. And I will, in future episodes, I want to get somebody on board that's more of expert in the medical part of it and can explain how all that stuff works, because I know how it was explained to me, and it's hard for me to remember exactly how to project that to make any sense to anybody. But yeah, it's a physical thing. It's not like somebody has an idea and you or somebody else doesn't agree with it. It's a physical thing that music triggers. I remember watching you there performing, and one of the things that stood out to me about watching you perform is I could come up and talk to you after or before your performance, and you looked at me like an equal or just another person, and it's refreshing, because I do know some of my experiences with other musicians and in bands where, if you're not better than me or on the same level as me, I really don't have much to say. Well, I'll never be on the same musical level as almost anybody, but I noticed with yourself, I could have a conversation just like we are now, and it didn't really matter what my level of music was. So I just want to let you know that, I notice stuff like that. I appreciate it, and it makes it so that I'm able to walk up to, like, guys in the other bands around town, Under the Mountain. I consider them sort of friends, because I support them too, and
they're great guys.
I like hanging out with them. I try to see them live every time too, and always make sure I go up to them and shake their hand and say hello. And one day they'll be here in the Shop of Rock, I'm sure.
They'd love to come out
They
here.
said that they would bring their guitars if I wanted to sing, and I said,
I can't believe how talented. I'm lucky to have met those guys, and everyone. It was funny. I'll never forget. I was talking to Steve before a show, and I was like, yeah, I've been playing for a few years and blah blah. And I remember like we had this one conversation, and it changed everything between us, and it was really cool because all the musicians in town are way better than the musicians back in the day. I remember back in the day it was like so like cliquey.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just like, oh, dude, like they came to my CD release party and brought like 20 people.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, thanks, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it just, Under the Mountain, this drummer, John, he's in we're in a band called Awkward AC. Those guys, unbelievable group of guys, just like welcomed me into their band with no problems. Like, Pete is just, everyone has been super receptive to me, and I love it. I love being a part of it. I think there's so many talented people. Like Michelle is so talented. That's who I had like open up for the CD release party.
Right.
And
That's who I think I was.
She was such an inspiration for me when I was getting back up into playing, because she just has this beautiful feeling. When you listen to her perform, it's just like you're at the ocean, or you're like, just you're stoned or something almost. And that comes right back to what people put it in out there, right?
I see myself on the beach at Tofino with a fire.
Yeah. And
By
her
the ocean.
voice, like you could just, I could listen to her sing all night. She has a beautiful voice.
Getting back to your other band,
Awkward AC.
So, you can email me the links and stuff like that, and I'll try and get this into these podcasts. I'm not really sure how to do this yet, but I think when I write up my description, that's where I have to stick the links in rather than trying to add them later. It seems odd that I can't just put a link, a credit, or whatever into something after, and I don't think I can edit a podcast once it's uploaded. So I tried the other day, I couldn't do it. So before I upload it, I'll have to try and get into my description all these links, and I want to link to yourself and your band, and also some of these other people that we've mentioned. That hopefully, when they, if they ever do watch this, they'll say, "Hey, right on. They talked about me. Maybe I'll come and share something, or I'll."
Yeah, you might have to pay them though.
I'll hound them. Yeah, I'll pay them. All right. I know where to pay them. It's in behind. It's in behind the amplifier.
I don't know. Some of them
here.
might come out here for a joint or some beer. So
there's a cupboard back there that I'm pretty sure that they would find very interesting. But what else have we got here? You getting tired yet?
No. Just
okay.
Crank back a bunch of caffeine.
Music, and healing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different vibes that come from music, right? And my friend Paul and Grant Baird just went and played Beatles Week like 2 years ago in Liverpool.
Oh yeah, nice.
And they didn't do very much when they were there because they were doing a lot of playing. But what they did tell me is they went to this cathedral, and you remember like Phantom of the Opera, like the big pipe organ?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this pipe organ is like in a church, like a huge cathedral, like pipes like 4 stories tall and stuff, like huge pipes. And they were talking about how for the half an hour that they were in there, what the guy would play, he could literally build tension in your body and release tension in your body. And as soon as I watched your podcast, I thought about that. And we are connected more than we have been told. We're connected. We're connected by, if you've ever taken like acid or mushrooms, and you see how the world like melts away and it all becomes different, right? What we're tuned to in our frequency in our brain, right?
Sorry.
Right?
Yeah, I just got a picture.
Right? Is what we see.
Yeah.
So if you tune in to whatever, that's what you get to experience. And that is where all of this comes from. It's where music comes from. It's where pain, suffering, from happiness, all of it is what you focus on. If you focus on your whole life, your shitty childhood or your shitty traumatic experience, you're basically unable to let that go, so that you're just continuing to relive what you already had.
Yeah.
And your body is smart enough that if you're telling it, hey, remember that time I got beat up in grade school? And then your body goes back there and it produces the chemicals in your brain just like you were in that experience.
Right.
And people don't realize that because we're not taught any of this shit in school. We're not taught anything about what we are as human beings. Like, think about I don't care if you're into God or you're into the Big Bang Theory, because in my humble personal opinion, my personal view, they are one and the same thing. And when you take one cell and you create more, you get the flower of life. You know what that is? The flower of life is basically the cell replicating itself and becoming and growing. And then you get all these different planets, universes, people, things, and it's all based on vibrations and frequencies. And you're just tuned to different frequencies. And there's happy, and then there's elated, and then there's sad, and then there's depressed, and there's anger and fear. And when you have a population of people who are able to be controlled by a television, like media controls me, I'm brainwashed as fuck. And I know it. I can feel it, because as soon as somebody says something, right away I'm like, that's what I should say back. Like, I'm programmed.
Yeah.
So when you haven't been told what this existence is, it's very easy to guide you down a pathway to whatever people who know what's going on are doing, right?
Yeah, it kind of takes away your own critical thinking and takes away your own thinking.
But we're born into this mess that we basically, like, everyone's seen The Matrix. They're all born into these pods, and they're batteries for the machines.
She's got a good memory.
Right?
I can't remember a movie long enough to even remember what it's about.
And it comes down to
Old age.
you can either you can take the red or the blue pill. And I get it. Some people just want to take, I think it's the blue pill that makes you just go back to sleep. It maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong, but either or. And that's their choice. And we need to respect that. If we choose to take the red pill and we wake up and see these things, that's fine. But we also have to have respect for people that's out of whatever reasoning, they just want to have their life that way. And that's, once again, your perception of things and what you want to experience. If you want to go and take a bunch of acid in the forest and really see something, then go do that, right? But that doesn't mean that it's for me, right?
Yeah. Another thing I was thinking about music and healing, about memories. Like you're talking about these childhood memories. A lot of mine, and I think I mentioned this in the other podcast, it takes me back to sitting on the floor in my mom's house, some of this music, because she had tons of music all around. And every time I heard the song Sunday Morning Coming Down by Johnny Cash, I immediately broke into tears. And it was one of my favorite songs of all time. And I like singing it, but it took me probably 2 years before I could sing it without choking up. All because it took me right back to where my shitty childhood, it was just the memory of being back in that time. And I can't shake it, because you forget about how the song is and how much you like it and singing it and all that. All you can think about is the trigger of being back to a horrible place. But on the other hand, so that's a memory and a trigger of something horrible. But on the other hand, it triggers me back to loving Johnny Cash and loving his music. And it's the weirdest thing. I've got two triggers, one of joy and one of regret and sadness on the same song. It's bizarre. And that's what I was going to say about this, how it triggers memories. It's kind of like the smells. I walked into my granny's house. I can smell that smell that I smelt all my life. And I smelt it in a few other old houses. And it's just like, oh, here I am at my granny's house, 9 years old. So it's quite a strong thing, whether it's a smell or a music or a song. And man, there's a lot of those songs that take you right back into, could be something shitty, could be something good.
Oh, 100%.
And what I really like about the Johnny Cash story is it can take me back into the shits, where it really always took me back. Now it takes me maybe 10% of the time back there, but the other 90% is now positive. Something shifted in the last couple of years that I don't get choked up as much hearing that song. It doesn't remind...
Well, you faced it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you were able to understand why.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Right? It's good. Good for you.
But I'm glad that I have music to help me remember, how does it make me feel? Well, yeah, it takes me back to those days and what was really going on. And like you said, it doesn't matter what kind of childhood or experiences you had growing up, it doesn't give you the right to push that on anybody else or hurt anybody else because you've got an excuse.
No, but I mean,
you got to own it. You got to own your actions.
Also, people have to understand that if this goes back to my conversations with Dennis. If you're hurting other people, it's because you're hurt. And if I'm around somebody and they're going out of their way to hurt me, I need to understand that the reason that they're doing that is because they're in a broken state and they need help. And to understand that and to be like, hey, like, this person is hurting so desperately right now that They're overwhelmed by their feelings, and we're all put into this fucking ringer. We're all being herded like cattle. And if you can't help your fellow brother out, that person, if you look inside yourself, you can find a reflection of yourself in others. And you have to understand that we are all in this together. And this individualism needs to be fucking put by the wayside. It's bullshit. You know, when two people connect with each other, we have a Torah, right? And right now, with us sitting this close together, that's why they're trying to keep us apart. We're actually like becoming one, and we're
This is 6 feet.
fucking 6 feet, my ass. Well, my knee's touching your fucking knee.
Well, it's Longstaff. I can't get away from it, man.
But it's great.
You're rubbing me with the god.
It's great.
It's yeah.
Right, but us
distance, yeah.
us combining, and now our field is growing to this bigger piece, and we're connecting, and we're experiencing each other's vibration and our feelings, and that's the same thing that happens when you put that microphone in front of the guitar, and then that front of that voice, and then it amplifies that, and it puts it right into your heart.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, Surreal is a rapper in town. And I've known about him, and, you know, a few of my friends are like, he's amazing, and he does a lot of work in the schools with suicide prevention and all this amazing stuff, and he has a son about a little older than Odin. And, you know, I was like, whatever, like, he's got tattoos all over him, and he's a rapper. Like, I'm not big into the rap. Randomly, I show up at the Queens, and he's doing Nirvana tribute night. Nirvana's like my favorite band. And here he is doing all these Nirvana songs, screaming his guts out, and I'm like, wow. And he's got blue hair, and he's got the same haircut as me. I'm like, okay, this guy's...
So you're thinking of him as a rapper.
And now he's doing this stuff. I'm like, whatever. And then I'd start taking singing lessons with Yona, and Yona does songs with him. And so I'm like, whatever, I'll check out some of his songs. I'm like, oh, these are dope. That's cool. And then I see him perform.
That's not the drugs there, folks. I got an older crowd here. Dope
he's awesome. So then I see him perform, and all of a sudden, sitting on this grassy knoll, and he starts going into this one thing, and all of a sudden my chest gets tight, and I'm like, holy that, and it's like cold, you know, and I'm like, holy smokes. I'm like, he's letting some demons out, and you really realize that if you open yourself up and you stop guarding yourself from other humans, and you just allow yourself to accept everyone as if they're yourself, and you stop seeing them as a problem or as against you, and actually see them as yourself, and let love be your guide, you can start pushing away all this bullshit and realize that we're all being fucked over. We've all had fucked up situations, and that the only way that we're ever going to get past this is if we let it go.
Yeah.
And you have to let it all go. You have to forgive. And people are like, oh, well, murderers and rapists and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, so it's okay to make shows about murdering. It's okay to have shows about raping. But as soon as you do these things, well, if we didn't have rape in our vocabulary, it wouldn't exist. Right? If a little boy didn't grow up in a society where he obviously was exposed to certain things that fucked him up to the point where that's the only way that he could survive, how is that his fault? How is it any of our faults? Explain it to me, right? Like, you can't. Because that little boy was born innocent, pure, to a person who was fucked up and abused by somebody else, who was fucked up and abused by somebody else. And where does it end? Unless we forgive and let it go. It doesn't. We just, by us being negative towards somebody like that, you're perpetuating it. You're being part of the problem. Because if I go to somebody's house that's a child molester and I beat the fucking shit out of him and murder him, what, I'm a hero?
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't fix it.
He's not doing that because he wants to. He's doing it because he's damaged. He's hurting. And it's disgusting. Yeah, I agree. It's disgusting. I've been a witness to many people who have been injured by other people. It doesn't make it right, but it doesn't change the fact that it's happened, and the only way through it is by forgiving and letting go. Perpetuating it by making movies about it and putting it up on the big screen, that how is that helping it?
Well, it doesn't take it out of your mind, that's for sure.
No. No, it doesn't fix it.
It just keeps it fresh all the time, whether it's real or not. It's still fresh.
And should they be locked up? Probably, for sure. But should they be treated any differently? Because it could be any of us. If you put any of us in the same situations that person was in, the damage that was done to them is what results from that. And that's what happens to people. And that's why we're all fucked up, is because we get damaged from people doing things to us that hurt us, and we don't know how to solve them besides acting them out.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you do act them out, act on your whatever, and are caught, pay the price, whatever it is, whatever the punishment is, you know.
But we have prisons that are filled with minorities. You got the prisons in the United States are filled with black women and men. And we fill the ghettos with drugs and guns. And then we just go, hey, it's all good. Where'd all those drugs come from? Where's all these guns come from?
Cedar.
That's right.
The cartel out here. Yeah.
I don't think we hold the people responsible that we should for the things that happen. You know, residential schools. I grew up and I had a few friends that told me about those terrible things, and you can see it in their whole existence. You know, when a group of people come to a continent and completely destroy a way of life and obliterate everything, and then try and assimilate people by putting them on reserve and doing that's an atrocity beyond anything that I don't understand. People don't seem to see it. They're like, oh, well, they're all inbred and stupid or whatever, and they say terrible things about them, and it's like, we did this, guys. We're responsible. So we're actually the ones we have their land. We are living here. We've done this. We are, people came here and did that, and we're a part of it.
And that's another thing too. People have to keep in mind. We can't continually be responsible for the sins of our ancestors.
But we've never done anything except for try and pretend that it didn't happen. And I did a show at the terminal, and I talked to this guy. He sat right in the front row with his wife, and we had a big talk about it afterwards. And he explained it to me, like, their son has some kind of like autism, I think he said.
Right.
And they can't get treatment because they're indigenous for their child. They've been waiting for 5 years. What? Like when's it going to be over? They don't have fresh water. They don't have garbage pickup. Everyone's like, oh, there's always garbage everywhere. Yeah, because they don't have garbage pickup. And because we've abused them to the point and segregated them, they had a way of life. We came here and told them that's no good. You can't have that way of life anymore. And it bothers me. It bothers me so much because I think of how beautiful the landscape is here and how amazing it must have been when all the trees were old growth. Then all the rivers were pristine and clear. All the fish and the animals living here. Yeah, I mean, obviously they had like battles amongst themselves and all this stuff, but like they didn't have all these terrible things that we've introduced into our environment. We've introduced so many things that do nothing but harm us. Nothing. Plastic. Plastic is terrible for humans. We put all our food in it. We eat out of it. We drink water that's full of plastic. Like it's terrible.
It's a good filler when you're hungry and you're fat. It helps. Um, so, I don't think I got any more questions about music. Um, this may have to be split up into two. I don't know.
Seven.
Well, what's it been? A couple hours?
Oh, I don't know. I don't pay attention to time.
I don't. I don't remember what time you got here.
Blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah.
No,
But you just ask me a question, I'll go off for 20 minutes. I have a big
hey,
mouth.
that means I don't have to think of many questions.
No.
So
you
you're
don't.
doing me a favor. But like I said, I want to get some of these credits where credit is due. Carl, what have you got in the works for your next album or set of EP or song?
Yeah,
single?
it'll be called Honesty, the Honesty EP. I think that I'm just gonna release chunks of songs.
Are you gonna put it on Spotify?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, but Neil's not there anymore.
You know what?
no, I didn't want. I just trying to be smart ass.
You know what?
We don't have to
I
open up
love
that can of
Neil.
worms.
I love Neil, and I know what he's doing, and he's done it his entire career, and that is everyone's talking about Neil Young right now.
Yeah. There's no such thing as bad publicity.
So Neil Young, you're.
Who's the other one? There's somebody else.
Joan Jett, or no?
Joni
Mitchell.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
Ah, well, she's from Saskatoon. What do you expect?
No, you know what? Like, I think that all people are entitled to do whatever they feel, and I don't pay attention to things like that because I'm a truck driver. I'm not Neil Young.
Yeah. No, I threw that in there just for the gratuitous laugh, because this podcast is mainly on Spotify.
Well, and I've been pretty serious.
And I want to make sure that your music, a good place to find it is Spotify. I know that.
Yeah,
Where
I mean,
else?
you
Where else?
can go to my Instagram. It's Carl Longstaff. You see this? You guys? Oh, look at that! Cause it's green.
Oh,
That's super cool.
Yeah, that's screwed
That's
up.
super cool. I bet you, what if I put it like right there? Whoa, dude! Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
it's
can,
green.
You can see right through my
Look at,
soul.
look at, look at, look! I got two eyeballs. So, basically, you can find me on social media under Carl Longstaff, and I got a few music videos on YouTube and all that great stuff. I have a documentary coming out. Nathan Reimer has been amazing, helping me get my music out there. Same with Paul Simolini. Basically have put as much work into the Carl Longstaff project as me, and I've got a couple more buddies who have come and helped me out on the new project. So thank you, Grant Baird and James the Wizard and Jesse Gunn. I always forget this, but I'm not going to forget it. Anthony Sharkey, Mr. Tonebone himself, he's always recording me. He'll be always helping out with the drums. So
Nice.
yeah, I mean, I can't do this by myself.
No, a solo artist is anything but, I guess.
And those people have, Paul Simolini has been instrumental. He's been writing backing vocals, singing backing vocals, writing guitar parts, writing parts of songs. Like, he's an inspiration, and he's one of the most talented men I've ever met. And I am blessed to have him in my life, in my corner. And I've never grown as much as an artist as working with him. He's like my teacher. He's my sensei. And the new album is the 7 songs. The drums are recorded for it. We did 4 songs live, kind of a punk style. So we're just going to do some guitar overdubs and maybe some vocal overdubs. And the next single out will be Honesty, but it's going to be, we have to do which single is it? The Divine. So the Divine EP, we still have 1 single to release, Divine, which is actually doing the best out of all the songs on Spotify right now. And so that single will be released and then the documentary, which is a 2-part, hour-long documentary all about my life, which is I haven't seen it yet, and my friend called me crying because he watched the beginning of it. And so I don't even know what to expect from that. I'm honestly scared shitless. I'm not gonna lie, because it started with I was trying to get rid of some of my deep dark secrets, and I grabbed a cell phone and I said shit that I never told anyone to that cell phone, and I had about 12 videos, and I just sent them to Nathan, and I said, dude, I just got to get this off my chest. And he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you tell me that? And then we started making a documentary, and
Nice.
I haven't seen any of it, and I haven't had any say in it. He interviewed my family. He interviewed a lot of my high school friends, and so those will come out, and then the Honesty EP will be trickled out in singles. There's Honesty, Grinning Parrot, Concrete Garden, Prayer for Mary, Not Alone, which is featuring James Shelton, which is really cool. He's a buddy I met on TikTok, and he does this ad lib about being molested as a child in the middle of the song, and it's fucking like it's aggressive. And there's, what other song is there? There's 7. Did I said 5?
I don't know. I lost count at 1.
Grinning Parrot, Honesty, Concrete Garden, and there's one. What's the other one?
I don't know. You know what? When it comes out, I'm going to send it to you.
What is the
I'll
other
say,
song though?
This
What?
is that song that you're
Not
talking about.
Alone, Prayer for Mary.
What was Honesty? No, that's not. No, that's not what we're talking about. That's the
What?
first one you said is coming out after.
Yeah, Honesty would be the big one. It's a good song. Brooks Jameson, Mike Sumter, and myself wrote those songs, so it's kind of exciting. That was our old band, Halliburton,
Right.
and
I was always wishing you'd throw the word street at the end of it. I don't know.
well, we have like pictures and everything of Halliburton Street.
Right beside the sign. I know. I
but
remember seeing that.
That band never. Mike's been really busy building Weed Empire, and Brooks Jameson had a nasty breakup and a new girlfriend, so he's got to take care of business. I actually just bought one of his guitars. Don't tell my wife. And
I've got 2 guitars. I don't even play them.
Well, you should.
I know I should.
You really should.
I had one of the best guitar teachers on the planet, and I didn't do anything with it.
Did you play?
Just enough to get a few chords down. Not enough to understand what I needed to understand.
Oh, Deadhead Yesterday.
Deadhead Yesterday.
Deadhead and Yesterday. Yesterday is an old Self-Control song. So I used to have a band called Self-Control, which is on Spotify as well. And that's how this all started.
Good old Spotify.
But
I like Spotify. You hear that? I like Spotify. Kind of
be careful who you say that in front of. You might get canceled.
It reminds me of the Ryder logo over on the flag there.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. That's that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Spotify is my go-to for choice too. But whatever form that these podcasts can come out on, I think I pretty well got them covered. I've got what is it? Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Google Podcast, Tune In or Tune Out or Tuna Fish. I don't know what the hell it is. And,
Tuna Fish.
That's Tuna Fish. So there's a few of them out there, and I don't really have a tracker of how many plays there are. I have to
listen to this. Can you hear that? This is that ad lib. It's aggressive.
Sweet. So I guess that's going to wrap up this episode or 2, or maybe 3.
6 episodes.
That's too short.
Dude, 10-minute segment.
Gotta have it so that
I think we should get like a background of like Jesus Christ on the cross behind you, like from that show. What's that? The what was that one that Mel Gibson did?
Jesus Christ Superstar.
No. He did that other one. What was it called?
I don't know. I can't
The
remember.
Passion of the Christ.
That sounds like it.
Or you could do a movie playing in the background.
Well,
like Scarface.
Honestly, this is what I was going to have in the background, but I thought it was going to be too busy and distracting for everybody, so I didn't. I decided to go with this nice, calm, black and white musical background. But this is what I was going to put on. Oh, I can't do that. Do you think that's not the one I wanted? Okay, this is the Shop of Rock. This is what the Shop of Rock looks like. And I've got like a 20-second loop video here. And this is the Shop of Rock in all its glory.
We would have to be doing like cocaine and disco dancing.
Yeah, so I mean, this could have been playing for the whole time
I
think
that the music was good. But I was like I say, you should have like. You could have like a movie playing in the background.
I can have anything. I want to create a nice logo about heavy mental noise. Maybe have it up here. I can always add it later, but it doesn't matter. I mean, ooh, look at that. I'm touching the lasers. How about that? Grab one.
You are the lasers.
Laser. So, anyways, we got to go back to something creep. No, that's not the right one either. That's some creep.
I like that.
There
Put
we
that
go.
one back on.
Okay, so it's freezing out here up in the Shop of Rock. We haven't shoveled our snow here yet.
We're gonna build some snowmen.
Yeah,
I watched this show that igloo. Every time I see an igloo, I remember I was watching. You know how sometimes you just like sit there and you watch random shows. Like before Netflix, you would just like something would come on the TV, and it was these Inuit guys. It was 2 Inuit women and 2 Inuit men, and they were brothers. And then the one dude had 2 wives, and the one brother had 0 wives. But they were all 4 of them were living like on the land together. And one day, the brother started sleeping with the other brother's wife, and he was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, well, "You have 2 wives, and you're not even paying attention. Like this has been going on forever." And he was like, "Oh my gosh!" And he was like, it was like his big story. And he went back to like the main camp, and these other guys, not that guy, but these other guys were meddling in the community, and he took them into an igloo, and he shined up the floor, and he made skates, and then when they came in there to attack him, he killed both of them because he had skates on, and they slipped and fell on their heads. And every time I see an igloo, I think of that movie. I don't know what it was. But
well, that kind of, it's not really related, but my son, my oldest son, likes to mix it up a little bit when he plays hockey. He's a pretty tough boy. And apparently those skills that you learn on the ice with your skates really give you the advantage when you're standing on dry ground with shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you're saying there. It was like one guy's got all the advantage just because of his equipment on his feet. So,
that's right.
Anyways, we don't need to dive into that. My son would kill me. So, anyways, you know what? Thanks for joining us on Heavy Mental Noise. This is the first live
I'll be back.
person.
I like to talk. Look at this mouth.
Yeah, it keeps me. You know what? It's the least amount I've talked for a while because I usually
I'll just
yabber
talk and talk. I always got something to talk about.
And you know what?
I like the sound of my own voice, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty sexy. It's kind of Longstaffish. It's like
I was gonna bring my guitar, but then I was gonna bring headphones and everything, but then I was in such a rush because I was on island time.
Well, yeah, Islander. But you know what? I've got a guitar. If it's a Seagull, it's brand frickin' new.
So you're gonna give it to me as a consolation prize?
I was thinking maybe that's part of your payment for being here. I don't know, but no. I mean, if you ever want to do a couple ditties or whatever sometime live, and then we can steal maybe a little bit of it for an intro or an outro or some halfway through music. And yeah, you gotta be careful. That's just glass on there. It'll cut your Longstaff right off.
I'll make sure that I just bought a couple new guitars, so I'll make sure I make some riffs up for you. It'll be some heavy metal riffs.
It can be anything. It can.
It has to be heavy metal.
It can be
like, heavy metal noise like that.
Yeah, it could be something sweet.
You probably never seen me scream before.
Well, not real. Just that little clip that you sent me. I think you were shrieking on that one, weren't you? Weren't you just in the hallway of somewhere of that studio?
Some shrieking.
Doing it into the mirror? Weren't you like there's a mirror there? And you had the pop filter in front of you, and you're just
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Some shrieking.
You did some pretty gnarly shrieking there. That's what I'm gonna do next time. In the Shop of Rock on Friday night, I'll be doing some shrieking.
That'll be your intro.
Yes.
There you go. There's your intro.
Nice. Yeah.
That's some heavy metal noise for you.
Yeah.
That's my old band
That's still pretty good.
when I was a kid.
I liked it.
Oh yeah, that's the heavy shit.
You only need like 30 seconds or something, and just
well,
to have it.
the beginning with the.
Yeah, it fools you. You think you're gonna hear something nice and sweet.
It was.
Was it harmonics distorted? Is that what that
that's
was?
Swamp Thing.
Oh.
That, you know, you've seen that show?
No, maybe, probably.
Yeah, we
Don't remember.
I lived at this guy's house, and he had a satellite on his roof, and he had the horror shows, and Swamp Thing came on, and I was like, that's the coolest movie ever. He like gets like lied to and then turned into this monster, and he's like trying to get his girlfriend back, but everyone's trying to fucking kill him.
Jesus.
And on that note, peace
Yeah.
out!
Yeah. Have a nice one. Hopefully the next episode won't take so long to get out. I'm gonna try and get this out this week.
Well, you see, now you got like 7 episodes.
And all I gotta do is splice. There's not gonna be much editing unless I have to lift the volumes up.
I was probably yelling.
I don't know. Sometimes when you're a couple feet away, it was louder, but I don't know.
Yelling.
Okay, anyways, that's it from the Shop of Rock for episode number 3 on heavy mental noise, and hopefully we'll see you again. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks again to Mr. Carl Longstaff, the most famous person I know.